on the six screens telenetwork earned the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome in to the Six Screens Telenetwork. We got a number of programs coming up tonight. But to start off tonight, we've got Dick and Constance Borghi. Both of them are former Jehovah's Witnesses, and they will be sharing some thoughts of what the Watchtower is hiding behind. Friends, I'll tell you what, there's a lot the Watchtower doesn't tell people, and they're doing it kind of secretively. Tonight, you're going to hear a lot about that secretiveness in the Watchtower. Let's bring Dick and Constance on, and they'll be able to tell you what they're going to be talking about. Hello, Dick and Constance.
Hey, Rick.
So there you are. So you got my attention today when we talked. So tell the audience what you're going to be talking about tonight, Constance.
Oh, okay. Well, we're interested in sharing information on subliminal messages or controversial JW pictures. And we have a few that we shared with Rick that we would really like to have posted because a picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, we know that not everyone is able to see us on YouTube or on live or Facebook Live, but I'm going to ask you to take down some notes so you can look up the references and you can find this for yourself. And the other thing I'd like to say is that this topic is really for mature audiences. You know, we love the little kiddos, but this topic tonight is basically for adults. So out of respect for you and your family, you might want to have the young ones, step out of the room as we have our discussion tonight.
Well, sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Now, I do have the pictures you sent me. They're nice and clear. So
Good.
Anytime you want them up, just let me know which one you want, and we will put it up there for you. Okay, thank you. I'm here if you need me.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. And I'd like to open the Connie and Dick show with a shout out to John Marciano out there in Southern California, and another really outstanding researcher on YouTube, John Ledger. If you're going to be reading this coming Watchtower, you're going to see all the trickery and how, unless you're a really good psychologist or a psychiatrist, you might not figure out what they're doing. And John Ledger, a wonderful researcher, very, very bright guy, is exposing them like we do. So we're all part of the family that exposes the Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to shout out to John Ledger. It's JW Examiner.
XJW Analyzer.
Analyzer.
XJW Analyzer, on YouTube.
You got to catch that show, especially if you're going to be reading this coming Watchtower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a lot of information. He has a following of about 34,000 people.
Yeah.
And he's very analytical, of course, and yet he's very logical and he's very organized. And he was at JW for 40 years and he's out of the organization.
Yeah, he was a former ministerial servant.
Yeah.
And this man has read, he's dug deep in the archives, and he has read every Watchtower ever produced, every weight magazine ever produced. So his knowledge is outstanding. Plus, he's a computer geek, I guess, and he's able to show you what the big points were when C.T. Russell was doing it, where he was the president, and then Rutherford, and then Knorr, and how the Watchtower has changed its focus over the last century.
Right.
You really should pick up that program, JW Examination.
XJW Analyzer.
Analyzer.
It's on YouTube.
Analyzer. So that's my little promo for John.
Yeah. And he uses Watchtower literature too.
Yeah.
And he'll dissect it, step by step, and then have his presentation or his podcast with regards to it. Anyway, he probably has like about 2 a week, and it's really excellent. He's just on a roll. He's very good.
One thing you will see with the Watchtower, when you go back to C.T. Russell, that he was messing with a 14-year-old girl. That's pedophilia. She wasn't of age. And you can see Rutherford dumping his wife and taking this. It was his mistress. You know, they call her his
Dietitian.
which is BS. But anyway,
Mhm.
she had no background in
Right.
that. But anyway, he took her every place he went. Throughout the Watchtower, you're going to see perversion. You're going to see distortions, deceit. It's really a criminal organization for how many people died due to blood transfusions and changing their whole life because Armageddon was right on the horizon.
Mhm.
Anyway, Connie's done some really deep research. And again, we want to thank John Marciano out there in Southern California for his help with the research.
Yeah.
And we'll let Connie take it away.
Okay, well, like I say, have the kiddos step out. And what we're going to talk about tonight, we know that there are, it's a community of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, but we also know that there are quite a few new people who are listening in to our channel and to Rick's show. That includes PMOs, people that are physically and mentally out. It also includes Jehovah's Witnesses, believe it or not. So don't be afraid what we have to say. I am going to give you some research here. So you might want to take down, pen and paper to be able to mark this down, especially if you cannot see it live on YouTube Live right now or on Facebook Live.
So we don't make this stuff up.
No,
no. You can do your own research.
Right.
I know the Watchtower would love you to believe that we're mentally diseased, apostates, that we lie. We just try to bring the Watchtower down, which we are trying to do, but that's what they will tell you. And we're trying to get people out of the Watchtower because we're demonic. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. And Connie's going to give you some references. If you think we're making this stuff up, you can look it up yourself.
Right. Okay. So, there's a songbook that Watchtower had. And Rick, you might want to post that one up first. And also, this conversation we're having tonight with you, we'd like to have participation, people commenting, your thoughts, and so forth. So let's see.
Yeah. R6 if you want to talk.
Well, wait a minute. Let me describe it. Okay, this is a picture that was in the songbook a few years back, and there's a group of witnesses that are singing. I have to pull this closer to see it. And there's let's pull this forward. Okay, and for those of you that can see it, there's a brother and sister that are African American, and there's others that are Caucasian, and they're all singing, and it's the songbook. Now, let me see. Okay, well, it doesn't show it on my screen, but I know it's there. And there is a picture of, basically, it's the brother's penis. And that apparently had been brought to Watchtower's attention when the word circulated on that. And then next thing you knew, Watchtower had taken that picture down and revised it. But this picture is in the songbook of Jehovah's Witnesses. Does anybody want to call in and make any comments in reference to this? Feel free. What you do is you hit *6 and it'll bring you right in.
No.
And we'd love to hear from you. And then when you're done, it's a toggle switch. You hit *6 to come out. Okay, so go ahead, please.
Hi, Rick and Constance. This is Donald from Texas.
Hi, Donald.
Hi. Now, as you guys know, I am legally blind, so I can't see photographs. But over the years, I've been hearing descriptions of these things like what you're talking about now. And, and it seems like a lot of these pictures have penises in them, have demonic symbols in them. For example, I think in a photograph, they had a picture of Jesus, and one of his hands was demonic looking or something like that. And, even though I can't see these things, It's horrible and terrible what this organization is doing. I mean, obviously, they're definitely satanic, and I believe that they are right in with the mark of the beast in Revelation. They are riding the beast. They are the harlot riding the beast, and they're at least part of that harlot that's riding the beast. And these pictures, from what I've heard on their descriptions, are just downright evil and satanic.
Right, right. You know, what's interesting, Donald, and we thank you so much for your comment, is when I was in the organization, I was in from 71, got baptized in 72, and I left in 83. Now, I never saw any of this. I mean, you know, you'd have, and basically everything was black and white. Now their literature, of course, for many years has been in color. But there are a lot of, this is pretty blatant, this one. But there are other ones, and Rick has some too that he'll show as well. I guess the point I'm trying to make is for an organization that's supposed to be very theocratic, supposed to be very spiritually minded, and very pious, holy, God's true organization,
Squeaky
clean. You know, this is not just one. You know, someone might say, "Oh, come on now, you're really just embellishing that," or you're seeing something there that I don't see. So we're going to bring a few others out. And the last one that I want to bring up.
I have a question. These pictures, are they obvious, or are they or are some of them obvious and some of them not so obvious?
No, they're obvious. They're obvious.
Well, what I mean by obvious is, are these things easy to spot, or are they embedded into the images subtly to the point that you really have to look for them to find them?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think it's trickery. They put it in the picture, so your subconscious mind picks it up, and you don't even realize it. And that's why they're doing it. Some are blatantly obvious, but the majority of them are hidden.
Yeah.
And you've got to really scrutinize it very, very closely, and then you can pick up the picture.
Yeah.
What's interesting, you guys, is these things don't really affect blind people. So I wonder how the organization tries to connect all this to blind people, because blind people obviously can't see images to be deceived. So I'm curious about what the Watchtower is doing also to deceive those that can't see the images.
Yeah, because now you're blind, so can you read Braille, Donald?
No, I use my computer talks, but everything I use either talks or whatever. I'm not a Braille reader.
Okay. Because I could see how that could be challenging for you to not be able to physically see the pictures.
But I've watched videos on YouTube where, like, Kim and Mikey have described some of these pictures, and they've described them so where I can understand what they are. But if they weren't described, I wouldn't have known anything about them. Really.
Right. So, did you want to make any comments on this, Rich, on this picture? Okay. All right. So the other thing is, did anybody else want to make a comment? Because we have a few other pictures we'd like to share with the audience tonight.
Rich and Connie?
Yes.
Hey, Joe.
I just wanted to say it's a great program. The songbook, I was just going to mention two things. What was interesting when they changed the songbook, a lot of us in the congregation had sent our Bibles and songbook to be leather bound. So we paid all this money to get that done, and then the next convention they changed the songbook. We didn't really know that it had to do with that image, but then later on I saw the image. But there's another image, and you're probably going to share it. It's in the Live Forever book, under the family chapter, where on the mantle there's actually a Greek god, I believe, that's just sitting on the mantle. I don't know if you'll share that, but I just wanted to thank you for such a good show, and I'm going to continue to watch it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, dear. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say? Okay. I think that's Stefan. Is that you, Stefan? Hi there.
Yes, that's me. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Dick, you're looking great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I was one of those people who never noticed that. And I have a saying that if your mind isn't in the gutter, you don't see these kind of things. But I tell you what I did notice in that very same picture is how frail or how weird the hand looks of the African American person. That is what caught my attention. And I don't know why it caught my attention, but that hand just does not look normal. It just doesn't. I don't know what Watchtower was thinking when they did the hand. You know, we'll put the penis on the back burner for just a second. I have no idea what they were thinking when they designed that hand. When you look at everything else in the picture, it's all anatomically correct. But when you look at that hand, there's just something really off with that hand. And then you combine that with you know, the male member there, and it's very obvious that there's some kind of a message that they're trying to convey. And then the bigger question is, how does something like this get out? Because you only have one of three scenarios. Either Watchtower just has no kind of checks and balances and just didn't notice it, or Watchtower noticed it, saw it, approved it, put it out there, and because this is what they are really doing. They're sending these subliminal and not so subliminal, I guess, messages. But there should definitely be a wake-up call. Hopefully, if there's any active witnesses listening to this is not apostates making up stuff, lying. This is in your literature. And like the brother said, you were told to get rid of it once Watchtower became aware of it. But why was it in there in the first place? Thanks, guys.
It's been in the literature since on purpose for many, many years. And being bored on a Thursday night or a Sunday, I often would look for subliminals on purpose and never was disappointed in finding them. They've been there forever. As soon as they got the 4-color press. And we know from a book called Orgy on a Clam Plate that New York advertising has done subliminals for a century now. And if you study advertising, we had a special college slideshow of a woman who showed us the cigarette ads. It's fascinating. If you can go and look at some of the old magazines, every cigarette ad had a subliminal in it. The whiskey glasses do have little skulls in the ice cubes in many, many commercial ads. It's $1 million business. And Watchtower had lots of weird hands and stuff in their pictures. And again, the book is called Orgy on a Clam Plate. It's a paperback. And there's another book by Daryl Barefoot, who worked for Watchtower, and he talks about the subliminal.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Pixie. You know, we were talking to Rick before the show tonight, and he had mentioned about Derek Barefoot. Maybe he's listening in tonight, but he has done a lot of research in reference to the subliminal messages of Watchtower's literature. And Derek's, you know, it's very interesting, the name Derek Barefoot. I had asked Rick, is this XJW, is he Native American with the name Barefoot? Because that sounds to me like he's Native American. I had studied with a sister who her last name was Whitewater, and she was Native American. So I'm not sure if he was Native American, but his name is Derek Barefoot.
He was a wonderful mural painter. He did a huge mural of the Four Horsemen at the Stanley Theater. And then he left and wrote the book. And again, both of these books, the Barefoot book and also Orgy on a Clam Plate, they're both inexpensive paperbacks that talk about subliminals in publications.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Pixie.
And look for them. It's a fun
And
thing
there-
to look for them, but it's also controlling people's thinking.
Right. Thank you, Pixie. The name of Derek Barefoot's book is called The Hour of Darkness. Might want to write that down.
you.
The Hour of Darkness. And you know what? Maybe we'll be fortunate and he's listening in tonight and maybe he'll chime in. That we'd love that.
You know, Pixie
Pixie?
alludes to the cigarette advertising of
Yeah.
the 50s and so
Yeah.
forth.
Right,
And it always show a young, vibrant couple
right. Mhm.
smoking a cigarette. But what you didn't see was the smoke from the cigarette or
Oh,
them exhaling the smoke. You
right,
just saw this young, healthy couple playing polo or something, you know,
right.
tennis or whatever. They didn't want the people to see the smoke, the actual smoke coming out of the cigarette.
Oh, that's interesting,
Yeah.
Rich. Remember that guy? I mean, I remember there was Winston cigarettes, those ads. And who was that guy? The Marlboro guy?
Marble guy, yeah.
Yeah.
He got cancer. And in order for him to do the commercials,
Yeah.
they had to get a crane out and put him on top of the horse because he couldn't get up there.
Wow, because his lungs were damaged from
Yeah.
smoking. Yeah, that's very sad. So, okay, well, that's very, very interesting. But anyway, just with regards to what Pixie said, Derek Barefoot, his book is called The Hour of Darkness. So that'd be great.
Hello.
I'm sure Amazon has it. Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Joe. I'd like to pick up on what Pixie said. I worked around graphics artists, you know, from when I was younger, and they're
Yeah.
they're very creative, fun-loving people, so to speak. And so what they'll always try to do is fit in these interesting pieces of their artwork to hide something that's sexual, but it's not quite obvious. But if you look for it, you'll see it. And their
Yeah.
goal is to do it in such a way that it passes, except to the person that's looking. Now,
Yes.
my attitude about that is, I'm sure the Watchtower artists were doing that, the young people or whoever they were. But the point that I always thought was interesting is, if the governing body were that concerned about a clean and pure message, why wouldn't they eliminate them and control that out? I know I would if I were. So in my
Right.
mind, they wanted it there because they knew there
I
were
also
young.
have a personal view. I don't think the art department's ever lied to us. I think the text has lied to us. I think the man at the platform has lied to us. But I think the art department was trying to tell us stuff all along.
Oh, I agree. And I think everybody was in on it. So we were the only ones who didn't know what was going on. Thanks.
Well, you know, what's interesting is for those who've been listening to the show for some time, Rick had Reese on the show. And Reese is somebody who does incredible research. Some people like him, some people don't. Some people like us, some people don't. That's the nature of being on the show. You have to have a thick skin. So you just let it roll off your back if you don't like us. But anyway, Reese did a lot of research in reference to the subliminal messages and some things that are not so subliminal. And anyway, he lives in New York, and he contacted the brother that was the head of the art department. This was some time ago. And he wanted to personally meet with this brother, and he wanted to talk to him about specific artwork, and there were sexual connotations in it. So Reese called this brother, and he said he wanted to meet with him. And anyway, the brother, they had it set up, and the brother didn't show up. The brother who was the main person in the art department in Bethel. So with that being said, I would think that, yes, they do know that this is out there. I mean, my gosh, just with the material in terms of their literature, of what they're teaching. Anyway, they go through that with a fine-tooth comb. So why would they not do the same when it comes to the artwork of Watchtower? So I do believe that this is done intentionally. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. And the subliminal, that's a little hard to say sometimes,
Hello, Dick and
is
Connie.
very powerful. Hi, honey. It's Susan.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, Susan. How are you, honey?
Rick and I have talked many times. He has a sign business, and that has an art department because you need art to do signs. And
Right.
most people who do art, and I know Rick will agree, they kind of lean toward skulls and crazy, unclean things in their drawings. They just do. Because art people have so most of them, not all, but many of them have that kind of a way of expressing themselves with these strange and unusual art. And so you have to be careful, even if buying pictures for your home, because you'll find things that aren't meant to, you wouldn't think they would be there, but they are. But the Watchtower, again, I do not know why, after all these years and all this time, that it's still allowed. I mean, how many years has it been going on?
Right,
Why
Susan.
would it be allowed? So, they really should have people by now that examine pictures and literature, anything that by now that make sure that they're clean pictures.
That's right. That's right.
I'm a motorcycle guy, and I find it strange that skulls are one of the most used item to dress up motorcycles or jackets or whatever. Skulls, to me, it's sick and demonic, but a lot of guys like it. And the motorcycle culture seems to really promote that.
Well, and it also, has a symbolism. And what's the symbolism of a skull? It's a dead person. And that's even inculcated in cultures, like in the Latin culture. You have the Day of the Dead, it's Dia de los Muertos, okay? And you will see on the Day of the Dead, you will see skulls. Even if you go to, there's a Mexican restaurant that we frequent out here quite often. The food is very good. And yet they have that skull. It's Dia de los Muertos. And Rich says, what is the skull? And I said, they're honoring the dead. It's known as the Day of the Dead. And that's what you see. So, Watchtower obviously has
wear your helmet when you ride.
What's that, Pixie?
I said it's a good reminder to wear that helmet when you ride. Also, the paperback Orgy on a Clam Plate.
Yeah.
The man that was in advertising that wrote that, the clam plate was an ad at a wonderful restaurant we all loved called Howard Johnson's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're out of business now, huh?
That book, Orgy on a Clam Plate. And he was paid to do the Howard Johnson's menu with subliminals in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that something? Okay. Now, any other comments before we go to another picture? Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Connie, I just wanted to say very quickly, this is what shocks me about this whole business, or at least it used to shock me when I first woke up. Joe just mentioned how he paid all that money for his books to be bounded in leather, and he goes to a convention and they tell him you have to change it. My question is, why is it that Watchtower never comes out and apologizes for anything? Why didn't Watchtower say, hey, look, friends, we're sorry. We got some weird image here on the back. It's inappropriate. We don't know how it got there, or it isn't what it looks like, but nonetheless, so that we don't stumble anybody, we're going to redo. So turn your song books back in, or whatever. Why is it that they do something and then they only change it once they're found out? I mean, that just screams that they're guilty and that they know what they're doing. Thanks.
That's a great point. And, talking about stumbling people, Stefan, oh my gosh, how many times did we sit in the hall learning about don't be stumbling your brother or your sister, right? You can't stumble your brother or sister. Like, I'll use a perfect example. Going to college, God forbid you go to college, you're going to stumble somebody. Or the long sideburns, right, Rich?
Yeah.
Okay. God forbid you're going to you're going to stumble a brother or sister in the congregation, or, if you have a sports car, oh no, that you can't have that car for field service. You're going to stumble somebody, I mean, they had an excuse for everything. That was the excuse. But when it comes to them and their artwork, they wouldn't even say they were sorry. And this, believe me, this was brought to their attention. I'm telling you, not just with Reese, but, Watchtower's watching our show. Watchtower's watching YouTubers. They're watching everything.
Yeah, that governing body member that I was alluding to you, that he looks very wimpy, and he said, we don't need to apologize.
Jeffrey Winder.
Winger?
Something like that.
Anyway, he's a little milquetoast. Anyway, he comes on there and he says, well, there's no need for us to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
My analogy would be like if you're living in Tennessee and you want to go surfing in Huntington Beach, and you get in your car and you start driving for the ocean.
Huntington Beach, California?
Huntington Beach,
Okay.
California.
Yeah, it's a long ways.
And you end up
Yeah.
at Jersey City,
Oh.
and you see the ocean. You go, oh, this is the Pacific Ocean. And somebody says, no, you're wrong. You're on the wrong coast. He goes, well, he says, it doesn't matter if we got it a little wrong. Got a little, you just
It's all water.
Yeah. You drove for a week, going to the West Coast, you're up on the East Coast.
It's just 1,000 miles.
Doesn't matter. For a little off. You're only a century off there,
Oh,
Bill
my
Toast.
goodness. Yeah. He goes like this. Yeah. Just a little off, right? Goes like that. Yeah. There's no reason to say we're sorry, right?
Yeah.
It's a new light or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, there's a bigger picture that I'd like to bring out. And, the organization, when you're in it, I mean, at first you think it's so squeaky clean. I think that's what was attractive to a lot of people.
Mhm.
But when you're in it long enough, I hate to say it,
Yeah.
you find out differently, that it is totally obsessed with sex. And I truly mean that. I mean, I've had conversations with sisters, and, not too many are going to come out and say that, but if you're going to be truly honest about it, the organization is obsessed with sex. Now, I can always back up what I have to say in case someone says, oh, that's a bunch of nonsense. Well, just look at the judicial committee meetings. Someone who's not a witness, it's a tribunal of a group of elders, like about 3 of them, and they meet with someone who has sinned. So basically, when somebody is excommunicated, we know it as disfellowshipping. The new term is being removed. It's all the same thing. It's because of sex out of marriage, fornication, having sex with another partner, that's adultery. Those are 2 of the big reasons why people are disfellowshipped in this organization. So anyway, Watchtower is obsessed with sex. Not only with that, but we will go on to continue our discussion.
Yeah, let me pop in here for a second before we move to the sexual pitches. What we've got here, Constance and Dick, is there's 2 different camps in the Watchtower, ex-witness world, I should say. But before I get into that, I'm just going to say that Derek Barefoot, the author of The Hour of Darkness, he's been on the 6 screens in the last 20 years 3 times. And he almost came up to the convention we had in August. He almost made it up here. We would have loved to have had him here. He certainly was one that first started seeing this, and he knew it was problematic. He wasn't quite sure why it was being done, as Joe was mentioning earlier. Derek was kind of leaning toward the fact that some of the artists in the art department were running renegade and playing games. But there's 2 camps and 2 different feelings in the ex-witness world about subliminal art in the Watchtower. Now, we, in the 20 years of doing this program, it's come up probably 6 times on our program. And I see 2 distinct groups of people. Now, I would say half of the ex-witnesses believe in subliminal imagery in the Watchtower. The other half don't. But it kind of goes right along with my line of thinking here. What happens in these subliminal pitches? As you mentioned, sex is very prominent and pretty profound in some pictures. On the other hand, another thing that's highlighted is little faces little demonic looking creatures that appear in Watchtower publications. This is where the one group of ex-witnesses get off the ship, so to speak. They don't think that exists. Now, the reason why I bring this up is Satan uses many tricks. And this is why many witnesses don't become spiritual after leaving the Watchtower. They don't believe in Satan, so they don't believe that there could be satanic imagery in these pictures in the Watchtower. But a lot of these people who don't believe in the subliminal images in the Watchtower, it's been brought up numerous times that there's a phenomena known as pareidolia, and what that is. If you lay on the grass, for example, in the summertime, and you look up at the clouds, you might see an elephant, or you might see a castle. Your mind can kind of draw in the missing pieces, and that's a known phenomenon. The mind will do that. So a lot of ex-witnesses, they say, no, you're reading more into it than there is. There is no subliminal pictures. They say it's all, you see one little thing, then your mind makes it up. But you're going to be showing some pictures here tonight that your mind is not making up, Constance. You sent me these pictures today, and I mean, anyone can strikingly see without any question of a doubt that these images are perverted. They're very perverted. They're intentionally used by the Watchtower. And for what reasons, it's only a far out guess. We know that there's so many sexual predators in the Watchtower. And we know, and we know for a fact that this is taking place. Now, is this some type of some have suggested, I'm not saying it, but some have suggested that these images are kind of put there to connect with other perverts. Now, I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds
realistic.
but it's something that has been used. Now, subliminal imagery, and Pixie brought it up somewhat as well, in advertising. Now, subliminal advertising is actually against the law in the United Kingdom because it works. By advertisers putting little subliminal pictures in their advertising, it connects with certain people. For example, I can remember there was one vodka company that put in their ice cube in a glass in their advertisement the word sex, but somebody had to point it out to you. And then Donald was asking this. Donald was asking about this earlier in the program. A lot of the subliminal art in the Watchtower, you really don't see it until someone says, "Do you see it?" And then you, whoa, then you see it. And it's like that. Remember that? Like that had a picture shows up every once in a while. Where's Waldo? You have a hard time even finding him until someone points it out. So it's the same thing here with subliminal imagery. And when someone points it out, it's readily noticeable. You say, "Whoa, I can't believe that." Could I put one image up before we go to?
Absolutely.
Let me put one up. I want to put one up right here, right now, because this perhaps is the most infamous or famous, whatever you want to go here, of a subliminal image in the Watchtower. Even Jehovah's Witnesses notice this. Now, you see it right here. And, well, I don't know if you can see it on the screen or not, but right here, I'm going to have, I don't know if you can see it, but look on the woman's skirt. The woman's skirt, you can see it there. On the left side of it, look down to the bottom of her skirt toward her feet, and there's an image there. It's kind of
the woman on the right. The woman on the right.
The woman on the right, you look down there, and you can see a little image there. Now, it's a face. It's a face. In fact, even some Jehovah's Witnesses, they saw that, and they said, "Whoa, what is that?" Well, further research that was done on that, it's definitely the face of the Greek god Zeus. Now, this is tantamount to, hypocrisy at the highest level of the Watchtower. Why would they put a god? I mean, they're supposed to be Christians. Why would they put a pagan image of Zeus on that woman's skirt? But it is there. That is the 1983 November edition of the Watchtower. I believe it's the November 1st edition. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's the November 1st, 1983. But there is a blatant image of subliminal imagery in the Watchtower. Yep.
Now, Rick, what's interesting is that was the year I disassociated myself, and you said it was November, and I left December, the next month of 83. And like I said, all the literature, everything was black and white. And now, of course, it's in color, but of course it's black and white. But what's interesting is, you cannot have a little picture of Zeus, a pagan god. That's not by accident, because you can see the face that's in there, even though it's black and white. That was done intentionally.
Yes, it was. Now, that again, now that could have been for what reason it's there. It could be a quirky artist or an artist trying to pull something over on someone, or it could be there for some other reason. See, in the world of phenomena, and subliminal imagery is classified as phenomena to some degree, some of the pictures. There are always going to be images that you wonder, what does that represent? What does it mean? Now, a lot of images, like I mentioned earlier, they deal with imagery like demons, little creepy looking characters that appear in a lot of the children's, publications, as well as Watchtower study lessons. And so the kids are sitting there and they see they see these images. They might not, hey, mommy, what's this? But somehow the Watchtower, this has been suggested. I'm not saying this, so don't take me to the bank, so to speak, and cash what I'm saying, because this is what I heard on these subliminal programs that we've done on the Watchtower. Some people say these little pictures are there to get children's direction, to get them connected, to get them even afraid of demonic creatures, so that they can pull all of these mind games on you. And so many people, even to this day, as they grow up, are frightened to death of demons. So some have said they're trying to prepare people, because that's a tool the Watchtower uses. Is, you leave Jehovah's organization, you're going to come under the influence of demons. I mean, that's a tool they use. So some feel it's for educating, others feel it's for connecting with perverts. Whatever the reason, it is there.
Yep. Very, very good. And, it is true that artists, they do, like I know an artist in California, and she's a very spiritual person, and she's very good too, by the way. But anyway, she'll put in like a scripture in her artwork, and it's very subtle. It's very subtle. But anyway, that's what she does, because she feels that, her talents were given to her by God. So she always likes to bring attention to him in her paintings. And then, the painter of light, look at the painting.
Scriptures on their French fries, and they're telling you that they're grateful to God, and they put it on their French fries on the very bottom. So, and see, that tells you why Watchtower is doing it. Rick, you and I have had this conversation many times, me and Gigi and Rick. The images are not for you. When a person puts a tattoo of MS-13 on their body, it's to tell everybody in the gang that I'm one of you. The fact that the CEOs of the Watchtower Corporation do not come out and say, we've identified the group of men and women in the art department, they've been fired, so forth. They don't do that, because the images were never meant for you to watch or to look at. And frankly, they could care less. The only thing those images are there for, in my opinion, is because they're telling whoever they need to tell, yes, we are part of your group. Yes, we are with you. We are one and the same. Just like MS-13, just like every other gang in the world does. You have to show your loyalty. And what greater act of loyalty is there than to plaster demonic images on your religious website, your religious literature, and to show that, yes, we did sell our soul to the devil. Listen, the reason what I say is way out there versus what you guys, is I learned this when I was very young. If you're gonna catch a thief, or if you're gonna catch a criminal, you gotta think like a criminal. Why in God's name would he do such a thing? And you don't want to ponder these things because they're so out there. But there's no other logical explanation for me. These people are letting their handlers, their higher ups know we have the tattoo. We have demonstrated our loyalty to the clan, to the mafia, or whatever it is. And I'll go there. I know Rick's not going to go there, but I'll go there.
Well, I think that's a very interesting point.
Is associated with demonology, so yeah, they're associating directly with demons, and even though they do that, I'm sure there have been images of the what is it I'm trying to think of, the Masons and stuff like that have been implanted somewhere in there, and we all know what the Masons were. I mean, Charles Taze Russell was a part of them, supposedly. I mean, he used pyramidology, and by the way, their whole 1914 doctrine is based off of that pyramidology. So they're still using it, even though they don't have his pyramid on his grave anymore, because that doctrine was based off of the pyramidology that he taught. They're still teaching this stuff. They're still teaching that. So, yeah, the subliminal images, like that guy said just a little bit ago, they're telling you who they are a part of, and that they have sold their souls to the devil and the organization. That's why they even do, from what I've heard and from what I've heard other people say, that's why they make like Jesus's hands look weird at some points, or they do weird things to the clothing of Jesus or whatever. But if they're going to do that to Jesus in a drawing, that should tell you guys something. I mean, here they claim Jesus is holy, yada yada yada, but then they'll do that. Yeah, the Watchtower is evil. They are, like I've always said, they are the excrement of Satan.
Well, we will get into a picture that's very blasphemous of Jesus, at the end here. And I hope Rick was able to find the book in his library there, because I know people are going to say, "Oh my gosh, that's got to be photoshopped," and so we're all prepared for any controversies.
But I think, BG, that you make a really good point, very interesting point.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of validity in what you just said.
You're talking about Gilbert or Donald?
Gilbert.
Gilbert. Yeah, that's a good point, Gilbert. We really appreciate that. Or, when you said that, Gilbert, I was
Hello?
Go ahead.
Brother, sister, may I make a point?
Yes, go ahead.
You were talking about symbols and stuff. Well, I'll try to be short. I had an experience when I was a young boy. I'm kind of like Pixie. When I was very young, I knew something was wrong. And, this is back in '63.
Yes.
I was about 62. I was about 7 or 8, And I knew something was wrong after
you're my age. You're my age.
Yes, yes. And this is in the La Crescenta and Burbank area.
Okay.
And we would go to different kingdom halls because my uncle lived in Burbank. He lived in La Crescenta. And I had my game was that because I knew something was wrong I had a little plan, and every time we went to a different kingdom hall, I would wait for the talk to come on. And during the talk, I would have to pretend that I had to go to the bathroom. And what I would do is I would sneak into their library. And I'd rifle through that library as fast as I could, looking for whatever I could find. And one day I struck gold. And I found the old magazines from the 1800s. And they were full of, I didn't know what Masonic symbols were back then. But they had crosses on them and Masonic symbols. And I read about the New World Order, the world government. And their pictures in them were like, they looked dark and
evil.
Mm-hmm.
They were like churches with fire on them and stuff. It was just the imagery was dark,
Yeah.
and it was like like a dark storm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep. Well, we thank you. Thank you, brother, so much for calling in on that. I was just going to say, going back to what Gilbert said with the symbolism, MS-13, you'll see a convict, he'll have right here outside his eye, he'll have a tear, like a little teardrop.
Teardrop. Yep.
And what does that mean, Rich?
He's murdered someone.
Mm-hmm. And that's a symbol. It's a symbol in the gang world that they're very proud. They passed their initiation and they murdered someone. And so to show that they did, there's that little symbol of, it's a tattoo and it's a teardrop. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate everyone's comments. Okay. Anyone else would like to say anything before we move on to another picture?
Star 6.
yes.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can. Come on in. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is Junction Guy. I've been in Florida on 2-week vacation. I rushed back to watch 6 screen, just made it in, except I missed the first 2 minutes. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Uh-huh.
Okay. Rick showed that picture of that Watchtower, and
Yes.
I was thinking of this before that because I was trying to remember there was a time at the book study, and I was thinking 83 or 84,
Mm-hmm.
they had a Watchtower out, and they were talking about an image in the Watchtower, and my stepmom, she got a magnifying glass. She was looking. She said, "Oh yeah, it's there." And they were like, "Wow." And then my dad, he was an elder. He was like, "Well, it's probably just a coincidence or something." They kind of brushed it off. But when he showed that Watchtower picture on the screen, I was like, "That's the one. We were there then."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you remember what the picture was, Junction? Can you describe it?
It was the picture. It was that picture he showed on the screen with the face of Zeus.
Oh, you mean with the
On the
woman
skirt?
in the skirt? Mm-hmm.
Yes,
The
one
November.
picture. I was trying to remember. It was in that time period, and when he
82.
showed that, I was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's the one."
Yeah. Rick said it was the November 1983 Watchtower. Yeah, that's interesting. Yep. And there are other ones too, as well. But anyway, okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your comments. And I am going to, I would say for anybody, would like, get out a pen and paper because I'm going to give you some links where you can do some research and you can check this information out and plus other pictures and symbols and so forth. And I think you will be quite amazed. Okay, then Rick, could we go to the next picture with regards to the 2 men and the one guy is lying down and it's like he's very sickly, the 2 Israelites?
Oh, not that one. Hold on. That one.
Yeah, that's it. Okay,
You can see.
now it's a little dark. It's this one right here. It's a little dark. Okay. And this one here is from jw.org. And it was JW Broadcasting, the June 2024. Anyway, and it's a picture. That's the reference. It is a picture of 2 men that are like, they're Israelites. And maybe you might want to describe it, Rich. One is lying down. He's very sick and he has a sheet over him. And then the other Israelite is standing over them.
Yeah, you really don't have to be homosexual or bisexual to see what this is. It's a man lying in the bed with an erection. His penis is erect. That's what it is. There's no saying, well, maybe it's something else. That's what it is. And it's perverted and it's demonic.
Yeah, there's no reason to be showing that, right?
No.
So for anyone that doesn't believe us, what you do is you go to jw.org and then you look at their library. And like I say, the reference is June 2024. So that's the picture. Now, Rick, can you hear us okay?
I guess I can. Yep.
Okay, honey. Now that one is dark. The other one down below is just the man by himself without the erection. But there's a picture of two men in the back on the bottom picture, and at the top there's a picture of the donkey. Now I had heard, and I don't see it, but someone had said in the bricks. Let me see if Johnny's there. Johnny, are you on here? Can you star 6, Johnny? And apparently there's there's not a symbol, but there's the word written SEX, like in the bricks. Or are you familiar with that, Rick?
I'm not familiar with that. I know that the donkey, it's been brought up because we did bring that picture up once on the 6 screens. You refer to it as a donkey, but it's really an ass. So there has a sexual connotation there as well. You say now, why couldn't they have just left it, maybe just a horse out there, for example, or,
Yeah.
or a cow even, but they have to put an ass out there. So
Oh, I
someone
see.
said that also
Yeah.
was connecting with a perverted person,
Right. Okay. Does anybody want to call in and make any comments on this? Because we had discussed this before I'd say about a year ago, but there's a new audience of listeners coming in too. And this might be the very first time that they're seeing or hearing this information. So if you have something to say, please star 6. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I showed this to my wife, and she couldn't believe it. And when she tried to show it to some of the elders, they shut her down right away about it. And it's like it all just like disappears, or like you get in trouble. I think people are afraid to even say anything. They're going to get in trouble about it. That's about all I have to say.
Brother, we really appreciate your comments, and I know you're new. You don't have to give your name, and that's fine. We respect that. But was your wife and yourself, were you very surprised by the elders, the way they handled it, their reaction? Did that sort of have a red signal for you to wonder why in the heck would they?
She's afraid to cause any disruption. I've been out for about 15, 16 years, and I've just kind of faded, but she's very afraid to go against the grain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I do. So she still goes to the meetings and so forth?
Yes, she does. She goes and
okay.
She's, like I said, very, very afraid to see or anything I say. She doesn't like to hear about it,
Right. And brother, what I'd like to say is this is from jw.org. It's very interesting. They can just go into their library. It was the JW Broadcasting of June 2024, and it's their own literature. What's interesting?
They haven't changed it yet. I'm surprised they haven't done away with this.
Right.
If we were to go into the broadcasting thing now, would it still be there, or did they cover it?
Yeah, that I don't know, honey. That's a possibility, but sometimes they haven't. The big one that I want to bring out is the picture that to me is very blatant. It's very clear. That's why I say, please don't have any of the children here or young people, because there's no imagination on this next picture of what it shows. And I remember, we were all born. I was born in 55. Rich was born in 48. Rick was born in 48. Susan was born in 56. We're all about that generation. So when we get into the next picture, that's going to be 1927, which is before any of us were born. Some people checked out literature, but we were so darn busy. Who had time to do that if you're working full time and going to all the meetings? But Watchtower supposed to, like I say, be very squeaky clean and very theocratic organization. And they talk about not doing anything that's unclean, which we know what that means when the brothers would be called into the back room, being unclean. And yet on the other hand, you see these pictures of Watchtower, of their literature. And it's just the opposite. In other words, do as we say, but don't do as we do.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I have a quick question. This is Donald from Texas here. I wonder if they've done any subliminal messaging on their videos.
I'm sure of it. I'm sure.
On their videos, Donald? No?
Yeah,
they have
any messaging on their videos and stuff.
Yes, they have the cartoons and the live action. And what's
definitely.
so crazy, I saw
Yeah.
a show on ABC on YouTube yesterday, and these are seasoned broadcasters and seasoned graphics people, and it's almost impossible to tell now the difference between something that's footage and something that's AI.
Yes.
I mean, like on their JW broadcasting videos where the governing body is speaking and stuff, I wonder if they've embedded some of those hidden type subliminal images in those.
Well, if anyone has any thoughts, feel free to chime in on that, because this is a group discussion. Yes, hello.
Hi, Dick and Constantine.
Yes, hi.
It's RJ here.
Hi, RJ.
Good to hear from you.
How you doing today?
Thank you. What would you like to share?
JW artwork.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Do I have an echo?
No, honey, go ahead. You're clear. You're coming in very clearly.
I think there was like a pink book from the late 80s. I was going through it, and there's a guy taking a picture of kids at a zoo. And I remember clipping that thing because I thought it was so creepy. I was cleaning out the basement of a family member and I found that book, and then I'm going through it. Some of that artwork, even the stuff that's not subliminal, is pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
he has his camera, and he's filming the kids with the animals, and he has a big grin on his face.
Oh, interesting.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
I wish I could send it, but that's how it goes.
And which publication was it in, or magazine? Do you remember, RJ?
One of the paperbacks, they're not paperbacks, but they're the booklets from the late 80s.
Okay.
Like the Truth book and all that. I'm not sure which one it was.
So did it sort of give you, I mean, when you saw that picture, I was out of the organization by then, so I can't recall, I didn't see it. So, but what was the impression it gave you when you saw that picture? How did it make you feel, or whatever?
The guy looked like a perv.
Pardon me?
He looked like a perv, he's smiling, taking pictures of kids,
Yeah. Yeah, like maybe somebody who's a pedophile and he's grooming children and he's at the playground or outside the daycare or the school, and he's looking for a child to be able to, sexually molest. Yep. Interesting.
Yeah, you got it.
There's plenty of them in the organization. That's for darn sure. We know that. Plenty of pedophiles. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's the thing about it. I don't have any experience with that. But that's that's kind of like a private thing that it's not open to the public, that you would have a bunch of stories to tell, but the victims do.
Well, and I think pedophiles give out other signals to other pedophiles in the congregation, and they know who they are, but they're on the QT. You know what I'm saying? They know who the pedophiles are. Maybe like you had 5 of them in your congregation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the average rank and file doesn't know that there are pedophiles in the congregation.
And one of the pedophiles,
And things that you're ashamed of, it happens in the dark. Once you shine a light on it, they got nowhere to go.
That's right. That's right. That's why they have a lot of symbolism, so forth. Even in the outside world, the FBI knows the symbols that they use and so forth, the organizations, and they know exactly what to look for. Mm-hmm. Were you going to say?
We had a pervert in the Lowell Highlands congregation, and he was once the overseer in Argentina, the branch overseer in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was molesting his daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, that Connie brings up a good point. I studied with a person that was a pedophile, and I didn't even know what a pedophile was. When I found out later, he told me about at least 5 that was in the congregation.
You conducted the Bible study with him.
I conducted the Bible study with him. Yeah, the elders asked me to.
Right.
I've told the story many times on 6 screens, but he went and told me who the other five other ones were.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was the branch overseer in Argentina or Brazil, one of those South American countries.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to share that experience about you didn't know he was a pedophile, but he came over to your home and you had 2 small boys at the time.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll do it real quick.
About the artwork that he had drawn.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted you to bring out.
The elders asked me if I would, because I was pioneering at the time, asked me if I would study with this man who was coming to the Kingdom Hall. And I thought, oh, this is great. He'd come to my house. I don't have to get dressed on Saturday or whatever. He's going to come to my house. I get my time in. This is great. And they said, well, I want you to know he's a pedophile. And I thought that meant that he was incontinent, that he'd pee his pants. So I asked my former wife if she would put some plastic, because we had crushed velvet chairs. And if she put some plastic over it and a towel and do it on all 6 chairs so he wouldn't feel self-conscious. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what he was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But he came over one time and he had drawings and he wanted to show them to me. Mm-hmm. And there were boys about 8, 9 years old, naked, and he was drawing penises erect and normal, unerect, if there's such a word. Mm-hmm. And I went to the elders and I said, this guy's weird. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we told you he was a pedophile. That's how they pronounce it in England, I guess. That's how they say it in England. In England, a pedophile.
United Kingdom.
I didn't know. And I said, well, he said, I named the 5 brothers that were active in our Kingdom Hall. And he said, these were pedophiles. Mm-hmm. And the elder just kind of nodded his head. He didn't say, no, they're not. He didn't confirm it, but he would have denied. He was, no, that's not true if it wasn't. Yeah. So he knew. So there was actually 5. And we had a congregation maybe of 125 people max.
That's a lot.
And that's a pretty high percentage. 5 of them being pedophiles.
Did you have a lot of children in the congregation?
Yeah.
Like if you had to make a guesstimate, how many children can you recall?
30 or 40 children.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of children. And these pedophiles are groomers. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my grandpa, he was like a dedicated witness, but he was very outspoken, and he was he was kind of like flamboyant. He was kind of out there.
Yeah.
And then he was in the witness mindset, like he's locked in, but he was a businessman and he was an entrepreneur, and he can read people. He can read the room. He knew human nature. Yeah. And then he said he would always make comments about his brother-in-law. And then, like, he didn't say that and this is the only witness that I've heard of that, would fall into that category. And he didn't out him, but he said, well, if that's the way to bet, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm. Who would have thought that there were pedophiles in the organization?
Yeah, it's
right.
squeaky
I mean,
clean.
really, who would have ever thought that? And I know there's JWs listening and they think that, we're lying, but there are so many cases, so many lawsuits. Candace Conte was one. She was from Northern California, from Fremont congregation. I got to meet her. and her mom. I didn't post the picture here, but I got to meet her. She's doing very well, but she went through a lot. And her Jonathan Kendrick was her molester. And what would happen is that her mom and dad were divorced. And so Candace was young. I don't know exactly how young I'm going to just say maybe like about 7, 8, 9, right in that age. And she was going out in service with Jonathan Kendrick. And anyway, he was just basically grooming her. And so anyway, as JWs in their world, you have to have a 2-witness rule. Well, she didn't have a leg to stand on at first with regards to him. That was in Fremont congregation, Fremont, California, San Francisco Bay Area. We had our assemblies there and on Osgood Road. Anyway, our circuit assemblies. And so Jonathan Kendrick left Fremont congregation and he went all the way up to like Pittsburgh, up in that area. It's the northern part of the Bay Area. It's called Pittsburgh. It's in that vicinity. And anyway, he came into the congregation and the elders from Fremont had written a letter saying he's very good with children. Okay. So this one brother that I know, and I'm not going to give out names, but you can do the research on the lawsuit. Anyway, he was an elder in this congregation and he knew just when Jonathan was there and watching him that he was not good with children. He was somebody to be very suspicious. But the brothers, unfortunately, in Fremont had lied about Jonathan Kendrick. So anyway, what ended up happening is Jonathan Kendrick married this, this woman, and she had a daughter, a young girl, and he, meaning Jonathan Kendrick, had sexually molested her. My throat's getting dry. So anyway, he ended up getting on the sex registry for
sex offender registry.
Sex offender, yeah. And as time went on, Candace was watching out to follow him, and sure enough, she saw him. He was on the sex registry. And so there was the 2-witness right there. It was her and it was this other girl. And she brought a lawsuit against Jonathan Kendrick. Okay. Mm-hmm. And anyway, and she won an exorbitant amount. Is the first JW ex-JW who brought a lawsuit of sexual abuse against Watchtower, and she won. And her attorney, his last name was Simon. He was a little short guy. But anyway, yeah. And so there are many, many more. And now there's all the cases that are in Pennsylvania with the elders up there and so forth. And it's all around the world.
Yeah. If you're a pedophile, what better place to go than Jehovah's Witnesses congregation? Because if you get caught, they cover up for you.
Right.
And there's a feeling of legitimacy. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, at least it used to be when I was in 40 years ago now, that they're wonderful people. They go knocking on the doors because they care about your salvation. But I'll tell you a quick story. People
are naive too, Rich. That's what I have to say.
They are.
There's so many great JWs in there, and they're really loving, kind people, but they're naive. They're, once you once you accept someone as, a baptized witness, whether it's a brother or sister, and they gain your, their trust, you gain your trust of that person, it's an open door. And let me tell you, I'm going to say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Do not have your children go to any sleepovers in the Kingdom Hall, okay, or even outside.
Mhm.
But you got to be extremely careful about sleepovers. They're very dangerous, and that's where things happen.
Yeah. What I was talking
About car groups.
Car groups.
Be very careful that the minor is not in a car group of someone where the parent would say, "Oh, well, he's okay. He's Brother Creepy. He's a Christian brother." You have not had him bonded, licensed, checked out 5 ways, 6 ways to Sunday.
Yeah,
Not
that's a very good point.
Any of those people are okay. Now, I was older and could defend myself both physically and mentally, but I heard a conversation with a guest in my home where he was defending Lot's treatment of his daughters.
Oh.
And it's not the first time that kind of so-called logic has been used by creepy people. So they're there. So be very careful. Do not, what is it that the Christ said? Cautious as serpents?
Right? Cautious as serpents. That's right.
There was a lie that was told to me when I was studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. And this lie was that if somebody is doing something in the congregation, let's say they're having sex outside of marriage, well, the Holy Spirit will be taken from the whole congregation, and the elders would notice that, and then with the help of the Holy Spirit in prayer and so forth, they would find the person that is committing these sins, and they would just fellowship them. So it tells people who believe that, which I did, that you can trust your brothers and sisters with anything, because if they were a pervert or a pedophile or something like that,
Or a financial scammer.
or a financial scammer, a lot of that, that person would be found out and disfellowshipped. And here I am thinking, because I covered up an adultery, and they appointed me a ministerial servant, and we're still covering it up, and they're going to appoint me an elder. So let me tell you, folks out there, you can't trust everyone in the congregation thinking they're squeaky clean because they're a Jehovah's Witness and they're in good standing, especially elders and ministerial servants, because it's not hard to become a ministerial servant. Let me finish. It's not hard to become a ministerial servant, and it's not hard to become an elder. You don't have to take, courses and pass exams and all this stuff.
And there's no background checks.
And that's it.
There's never any background check.
And they're studying
with regards to them.
You're studying with people that are in prison.
Right.
When they get out of prison, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I found Christ, let me out of prison. They go right to the Kingdom Hall, and we all know what happens in prison where there aren't any females. We know, everyone knows what's going on there, and they carry those traits into the congregation. So that's why we're having all these lawsuits, young girls, young boys being molested, sexual child abuse in the congregations, because it's rampant.
It is rampant. It is. And the thing is, for someone who's not a JW listening to this program, they're probably scratching their head saying, I don't understand it. In the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, they consider it only a sin. They do not consider it a crime. In the real world out there, it's a crime. And you better be sure and report it to a mandate reporter. If you're a nurse or a doctor or a teacher or a social worker, whatever, EMT, those are mandate reporters. You see that going on, you better be sure and report it. Otherwise, you can lose your job. Well, in the world of JWs, they do not consider it their responsibility to report it to the authorities. Only now, only if some states require it.
Yeah.
But they feel that it's only a sin, which is I mean, of course it's a sin, but it's worse than a sin. You know, you're sexually molesting a child, which is criminal behavior. And so it is hush hush. What do I mean by that? Well, it's not even, you had 5 pedophiles in your congregation, Rich. And the thing is, no one in the congregation knew that. The publishers, rank and file,
Right.
they were not informed about that. They were not. The elders kept that quiet. And it's not just your congregation. That's the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then those pedophiles, oh yeah, they got to make sure they get their hours in. Okay, Watchtower, you had to always record how many hours you got, at least 10 hours a month. Oh yeah, so what's that mean? That means they go door to door and they're knocking on your door on a Saturday morning or any other time. And there's little Johnny and Susie up, answering the door, and there's a pedophile, and they have these children, even the parents don't even realize this is somebody who's a predator who's at my front door trying to represent the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. So anyway, it's very dangerous. And so we're here on this show to expose them and to protect the children.
And if you're a PMO and you're hearing this program, spread it in your congregation that you heard that there was a lot of, you heard about the 2-witness rule. So watch out, especially if you got a parent,
a single parent,
a single parent,
especially a single parent.
and you've got a young daughter or especially a young boy. So, gee, this brother elder will mentor my son and
like
take him out in field service,
right?
And he'll take him out to baseball, and he'll take him to a bowling lane.
Yeah.
Watch out that he's being groomed.
Right.
He's being groomed.
Or how many, single sisters have children, say they're divorced. Wait a minute, honey, just a second. Say you have a single sister, she's divorced, and she has, a child, 1 or 2, whatever, little girl, primarily little girls, okay? And she's trying to be the mother and the father to her daughter or her children. And then all of a sudden, she's in the congregation, and then there's a brother who sees that she's available, but he also sees that she's a single parent, which means that she has a daughter and or a son, whatever the case might be. And you will see that this predator, they're groomers, they're looking for this kind of ideal situation. They will zoom in and instantly get married to that sister. She's very innocent. She's looking for a companion. She's looking for, someone she can love. She's looking for a father for her children. She's looking for, a blessed unit. And when you have a pedophile, they're groomers and they're looking for that kind of situation. And they will start molesting, sexually abusing that young girl. And it's devastating. Now, this happens not just in the world of JWs. This happens outside the world. It happens in other churches, but it happens. This is the way these pedophiles operate. They're groomers. They're a predator. That's the best word I can. They're a predator. They're looking for the opportunity that they can sexually abuse a child. So young single sisters that are out there, be very, very careful. Very careful. Protect your children first.
Candace, can I cut in here?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm just taken back by how they protect these creeps and the people that are accused of these things. But they were so hard on teenagers just dating, and they wouldn't let the young brothers, date the sisters in a normal way.
Right. That's true.
It's, and that's a very normal thing. I mean, worldly people, they start dating 8th and 9th grade.
Yeah, especially when they get into high school.
If you're, they get on your back if you're 16, 17. And they're very judgmental, and they are very unrealistic.
Oh, yeah. The JWs don't even get to really grow up as normal people.
I'm 16 years old. Let me figure it out.
Rich, do you want to tell them the story
You're
that
not
when
supposed to have a house paid off at
she's sitting on
16
your lap?
and be, you know, like, you're not supposed to be a grown adult at 16, but you are supposed to, oh, well, you're the age where you should be learning how dating works and figuring out where you want to go.
Right. Well, I would like to say before Rich says that, you know, that's a very interesting story. The first sister in my congregation, she was married at 17. Now she wasn't pregnant. She wasn't pregnant at all, but she was a year behind me in high school. And she, you know, I graduated in 73 and she graduated, it should have been 74, but it was 74, but not in June. She graduated like halfway through the year and she was only 17. And why did she rush that? Because she was going to get married to a ministerial servant who was 24 and he lived in Hawaii and she lived in California. And then Rich's first wife, she was 19. I mean, you're talking about teenage brides.
Mhm.
That's what you're talking about. But then you can't really be, you know, a normal person to date like real people do. You want to tell your experience, Rich?
Yeah, well, I was invited to a young people's thing, and some of them were married and some of them weren't. And my former wife sat in my lap, and
It was a gathering, right?
it was a gathering.
get together.
Yeah, we were engaged, and she sat in my lap, and that Sunday I was pulled into the back room by one of the elders and said, "What other kind of immorality have you and Pam got involved in?"
Boy.
I said, "Nothing. So, well, we know you were in the Marine Corps and, you know, you did all that kind of stuff." But I said, "I've never touched her sexually." Well, she was sitting on your lap. I said, "Well, I saw another couple doing it." He said, "Well, they were married."
Yeah.
So they were like, even my kid sister who went to the Kingdom Hall, same Kingdom Hall I was going to at the time before she got married.
Mhm.
And they said to her, you know, your skirts are too high and you're showing a lot of too much cleavage.
This was your sister?
My sister.
Mm.
And she looked down at her, you know, bosom and go, "Are you kidding me?"
Mm.
I mean, she was by the standards of the world, you know, back in the early 70s.
Yeah.
She was very modestly dressed.
Yeah.
But the skirt was, you know, I guess they wanted the skirts to be at the middle of the knee, which was the requirement when I was in high school.
Mm.
The girls, if their skirt was higher than the middle of the knee, they'd send them home.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, they're just obsessed with sex, Rich.
Yeah,
you know?
they want to project the image of squeaky clean.
Right.
And when they do that, everybody drops their guard of the brother, single brother, or doesn't necessarily have to be single.
Yeah.
They drop their guard. Oh, he's a Jehovah's Witness. He's a ministerial servant, because they believe that ministerial servants and elders are appointed by Holy Spirit.
Right.
Well, they're not. I can absolutely testify that that's not true.
Yeah.
And those governing body members, they're appointed by Satan the devil. That's who they're appointed, because they are demonic and they're liars.
Yep. Yep. You know, Rick, can you hear us? I'm sure you can.
Yes, I can. Yep.
Johnny was trying to call in, and for some reason he sent me a little text here and said he's not able to get through.
We
and
do
I
have
don't know
we
why.
have an unusual amount of people calling in here tonight. In fact, it's quite unusual. Like I said, we're gonna have a great crowd here tonight. So just Johnny, try again. Is he hitting *6? I have a.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is, honey. He's in San Jose, California.
What's the area code? Do you know?
Ooh, I only know it on this phone, honey. I don't have the laptop, and I know.
Johnny, if you're listening, hit *6 and come on. Johnny, hit *6 and come on. Yep. Were you with it? Go ahead.
Oh, no, this is Stefan. I don't know if you're waiting for somebody else.
Johnny, you on there with us? Johnny from California. You on there with us tonight, Johnny? If you want, hit *6. Well, evidently he's getting a hard time coming through. Maybe the lines are jammed. We got a lot of people calling in here, Connie and Dick. It looks like an airport runway here. I'm trying to guide through it. Yep.
And I'd like to say, if you've already commented in the early part of our program, can you give somebody else a chance?
Yeah, go ahead, Stefan. Go ahead, Stefan.
No, he just said give somebody else a chance, so I'll try to get back in later.
Okay, honey. Okay. So, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There he is.
Okay?
Hi, Johnny.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay, this is Debbie. I
Debbie
saw a
Wong.
commercial today on TV
Yes.
from the Church of Latter-day Saints, and it
Okay.
was saying, it was an advertisement that said that we, from the church, saying we have for years covered CSA, and we let it slide way too long, and many children have been damaged by this.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're apologizing for it. But if you want to seek damages, this is the lawyer. He takes the name of a lawyer. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, those are the Mormons. I have a family member. It's my cousin's son, so he's my second cousin. He and his wife and kids are really involved in the Mormons. And yeah, I mean, this doesn't, the CSA, child sexual abuse, doesn't just happen among JWs. It happens across the world.
I just thought it was odd that they were advertising it. And they were apologizing also as they were talking.
At least they apologized.
It was a commercial. And I've never seen, even the Catholics didn't do commercials about it,
Right.
They weren't part of the church, of the Latter-day Saints or Mormon church. And they were sorry.
Cut in here for a second. One difference I noticed between Latter-day Saints and J-Dubs is Latter-day Saints, they actually do charitable works. Witnesses are they're very much misers. Like, I don't know if they give all their money or all their effort into being a witness, that they don't give it to anybody else, but they're not very open with their money or their volunteer efforts outside of being a witness at all.
Right. Well, but the thing, and I thank you, brother, for that comment. But I'd like to just go back to what Debbie said. You will never find Watchtower ever apologizing for molesting all these children. You will never, ever. They have too much arrogance and too much pride. And plus, don't forget, they have a database that Erwin Zalkin down in San Diego was trying to get with regards to a whole list of pedophiles in the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. And they were charged, meaning Watchtower, were charged $4,000 per day. And that was court ordered, and Watchtower still would not turn it over. And it accumulated up to $2 million. So why wouldn't Watchtower turn over that database? Yeah, because they probably have, this is my thoughts, people in high places in that organization from the top down who are pedophiles. Now we know Leo Greenleaf's had been a governing body member, and he molested
Chitty.
And
Chitty
was one, but he molested
Mark Rowland.
Mark Pilo. Yeah, you and Rick knew Mark Palo personally.
Yeah.
And that was Leo Greenleaf's. So, this organization is very arrogant, and they will never, ever say they're sorry to any of these child sexual abuse victims, which is pathetic.
Yeah, there was another governing body member.
Hey, Connie, can I just add to that?
Yeah, go ahead, honey. Go ahead, Stefan.
It made me think, if you go back to the Australian Royal Commission, when each representative of those religions and Christian denominations came before that court, the first thing that they did in the most contrite, if you will, way was apologize for the CSA and the damage that members of their organization had done. All of the organizations did that one by one. Watchtower gets up there, they never apologize whatsoever. And then that attorney, and you guys know his name, I can't remember it. He goes into a tirade about something, and he's all dumping around and all happy, and everybody was looking at him like, you have to be out of your mind to not start this process off with apologizing. But that's Watchtower. This organization is demonic. How do you not apologize when the so-called worldly Babylon the Great, Babylonish religions can apologize, but Watchtower can't? There's something wrong with that.
Right.
That's because Watchtower is the one that's Babylon, not everybody else. They're the true Babylon the Great. They are the ones associated with Satan. They're the ones that are doing Satan's bidding. Now, I'm not talking about the individual witnesses or the rank and file, but the governing body, the upper echelon of that religion is satanic. They are doing what Satan wants them to do. Therefore, like you said, they will never apologize. And they won't. They will not. They are too arrogant. Like it's been said earlier, these guys are too arrogant. They are the excrement of Satan, is what I said earlier. And they will continue to be that way. They're too prideful. They don't care about anybody but themselves. They got all those billions of dollars themselves, so they're using all that money for their own things. They're not helping the witnesses out. I mean, average Jehovah's Witnesses don't get anything from Watchtower. Nothing. Not a single dime comes to them.
Well, you're certainly right about that, brother. I mean, they're letting witnesses of Bethelites, that are serving in Bethel, they're letting them go in their 70s and 80s, and they're not giving them anything. Bus fare, maybe, and they get no Social Security, they get no pension, they get nothing. They're going to have to be, going to the Catholic Church for food.
The food banks and so forth.
And they get $7 billion in escrow somewhere in Ireland.
In Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Ireland.
They've got the money, but they're not giving it out.
So to get back on track, I mean, all these comments are excellent, but I'd like to stay focused on our topic about the controversial JW pictures or subliminal pictures. Okay. The next picture that I'd like to bring out, like I say, this was before I was born, Rich was born, and this, you got to write this one down, okay? Because this one's going to rock your world. This is in the Creation book. And the Creation book was published during J.F. Rutherford's time. It was actually published in 1927, okay? And the page, now the Creation book is it's a very pretty blue book. It's like it's not dark blue. Yeah, it's not dark blue. It's like the Truth book, but it's a pretty light blue color. And it's, hello, someone needs to toggle switch and hit *6 because we can hear you. Yeah. So anyway, it's the Creation book and it's page 246. And now how you can find this, it's a picture, here it is. It's a picture of the crucifixion of Jesus. I know there's going to be people say, now wait a minute, there was no cross. Jesus didn't die on a cross. Those are going to be the witnesses.
In 1927, he did die on a cross. And Rutherford changed that.
Well, they did believe it. Watchtower did believe it back in those days, that Jesus died on a cross.
Absolutely.
And you'll notice that in this picture here, I just want to say here, it says who the artist is in the bottom right-hand corner. It says, and his name is Max Klinger, Klinger, and he was the artist. And I'll tell you a little bit more about him, okay? Because I know people are going to say, no way, this is Photoshop or something. Anyway, at the very bottom of the picture, it reads, crucifixion, the blood of Jesus, representing his life poured out, must be presented in heaven as an offering for the sins of mankind. And without that blood being presented as a sin offering, the people could not be sanctified. And that's end quote. Okay, so this is what you need to know if you cannot see this. It is the Creation book. It was published by J.F. Rutherford's time in 1927. and it's page 246. If you go on to archive, archive.org, you will be able to access this. And then what you do is you type in Judge Rutherford, JW Creation Book. Okay? Now, this is not just a crucifixion of Jesus Christ and the two evildoers. Do you see what's going on in the background there? Okay, this is 1927. This had been brought to my attention probably about 10 years ago, and it was on a Facebook group, No Nonsense XJWs, and I didn't believe it. I said, you know what? I don't believe this, what you're saying. You got to show me the book. You got to tell me the page, and I want to see the picture. And so what you see there.
I'm done.
Yeah, go ahead, honey.
Yeah, what you see there is two homosexuals, and one of them is penetrating the other one with anal sex.
And they're completely naked.
And it's right behind Jesus' crucifix.
Well, right behind like one of the evil doers.
Oh, one of the evil, yeah.
That's the evil doer.
That's right.
There, Rich. Because this is Jesus.
I got you. You're right.
Evildoer.
The picture's too small, but
yeah, it is small.
It definitely, there's absolutely no doubt about it. You can't say, well, maybe
it's photoshopped. Or
yeah.
They didn't have Photoshop in 1927.
That's
for
right.
one thing. And the other thing, that's why I say, if you go into this archive, it's called archive, archive.org. Okay. And then once you get there, type in Judge Rutherford, Jehovah's Witness Creation Book. Now, Rick, you have an incredible library of Watchtower literature. And were you able to find this book today?
Well, I got home and I looked down in I've got so many boxes and I have not even put them on bookshelves yet. I could not find it, but when I do find it, I will bring it up sometime on your program, Constance, but I could not find it. But that's the same picture that we talked about this probably 10, 12 years ago on the 6 screens. And I did show the picture right out of the book. But that, friends, that is a good picture. Trust me, that's a picture right out of the book. Yep.
Okay, now I want to also mention a few other things here. I'm going to give you probably about 5 links that you can write down. So in the meantime, you might get a piece of paper and pen. But in the meantime, what I'd like to share with you is the artist. The artist, his name was Max Klinger, Klinger. Okay, now this will give you some idea who he was, and it shows how valid that photo is. It's not photoshopped or anything. Anyway, he was not a JW, but he was an artist. He was a German artist, and he was born in February 1857, and he died in July 1920. And he was an artist that enjoyed neoclassical pagan artistry. And he was associated with a lot of symbolism, primarily erotic art. Okay. So one of his other paintings was called Blue. Let's see if I can read this. My handwriting. Oh, Blue Hour in 1890. It has to do with 2 naked women and one boy in the middle. It's called Blue Hour back in 1890. He was also a sculptor as well. And what's interesting is that this Max Klinger, like I say, was not a JW, but he's the one that had that painting there that's in Rutherford's book. He had this painting called Christ in Olympus. Rick, could you pull that painting up for us? Not that one. There's another one. It's called Christ in Olympus.
Let's see.
And it was the last picture I had sent to you. That's it, dear. Thank you. I don't know if there's any way you can blow that up or not, Rick. But
no, they can. What they can do if they watch it on TV, which many people are, they can see it nice and big. But if you're on a small tablet, it's going to be
Yeah.
difficult to see it. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, this picture here is the picture that Max Klinger painted, and it's called Christ in Olympus, Olym, like Mary, Pus. It was dated back in 1897, and it was a gigantic picture that he did, and it's in a gallery. And let me see, it is, I'll tell you where it is. It is located, and like I told you, he was German, and it's located in, I have to spell this. It's in Germany. It's a city in Germany. Leip as in Paul, Zig, Leipzig, Germany. And the gallery it's in is in the Museum of Fine Arts. And it is this painting right here is a gigantic painting. But he was into erotic art. And as you see in these pictures here, this picture, a lot of naked people. You'll also see up in the tree in the upper left-hand corner, there's cherubs. Some of the people are dressed, in Greek,
Togas and stuff.
togas and stuff in Roman. And then down below, there's another picture, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in there. And when you look at that, like especially dead center, you'll see the people are naked, but you'll primarily see that there are like 3 men and 1 woman. It's like they're having an orgy. So that's what this guy enjoyed painting. And anyway, he was the artist of that particular picture that we showed you that was in Judge Rutherford's book Creation in 1927. It is not photoshopped.
Yeah, Hollywood is pretty perverted. And the very popular TV program MASH, they had a cross-dresser who was trying to get out of the army. And his name was Max Klinger, same.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was a cross-dresser. And of course, cross-dressers are perverts.
That's interesting. Okay, so there were some other links I would like to have you look up as well. And I know, Rick, you still have a couple of pictures that you wanted to share tonight?
I have none here. No, I did have another one, but for some reason we did seem to lose it. I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay, honey. Okay. Well, I was just going to say some of the links that people can look up for research, which would be really good. One, of course, is called archive.org, archive.org. And you go in there and you look in the book section. It's an independent link, and you can put in the date 1927, and that's how you can find the Creation book by Rutherford. Another resource I'd like to share with you is called watchtowerarchives.org. That's a good one to find this Creation book. Then a third one, well, let me go back to that. Watchtower Archives. What you do, watchtowerarchives.org, you look under the book section because there's publications and so forth. Look under book section, and then you look under the date and you type in 1927. Okay. So a third one is https:// online books, plural, all one word, .library and .upenn.edu. A fourth one is jwfax.com. And a fifth reference, which is really wonderful, is called JW's Online Library. Maybe it might be Jehovah's Witnesses Online Library. It's all one word. But anyway, because not all of us have that book, and not all of us, have a library like Rick or even Barbara Anderson have, which is quite extensive. But this way, you can be able to access that information and other publications that Watchtower has. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to say there. Anybody else, would you like to call in and comment? We'd like to hear your thoughts
Love to.
on all the.
today.
Yeah.
Hello, sorry. someone was speaking. I don't want to interrupt them.
I'd rather hear an English accent. Carry on.
Okay, well, have you heard of anyone called Michael Canis? He did a
Michael
movie
Canis?
called
No.
Raise the Soul. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Michael Canis. It's not me. It's just the name of this guy, and he's an artist. And he noticed that in Catholic art there was all these subliminal images and things, like you'd get a painting of Jesus, and the abdominals would be made into the shape of a penis and things, and you'd have sort of homoerotic art in it and fantasies and things. And what he found out was that the Satanists had infiltrated the Catholic Church, and they were putting it in all sorts of artwork. And because the artwork's so expensive, it's actually still there. And the movie was called Rape of the Soul, and it was done in 2006. But it's very similar to The Witnesses. See, this stuff there's something much more sinister to it.
Yeah,
I think no one realizes that, but it's actually Satanists. They've infiltrated the Catholic Church, and I think they do this with other religions. And I'm not sure what part they've got to do with The Witnesses. There's some very strange stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I think it's got something to do with that.
Yeah. Oh, I love your accent, brother. Beautiful accent.
You're correct. You're correct. I've heard people say, and I was raised Catholic, that the homosexual community deliberately planted homosexuals as priests in the community to bring it down. Pedophilia. I don't know if you've heard that, but I'm very much firmly in the Catholic community, though I'm not a Catholic. I keep up with all that stuff. It's like sabotage, quite frankly.
Well, once they told the priests back in the
and they cost a lot of money.
They cost
experience from the Kingdom Hall, and it had to do with my stepdaughter. And me and my study teacher were ministerial servants at the time, and I was in charge of the sound system, territories, and literature in a counter behind the crowd. And my study teacher, he's a very intense guy. He says, "Do you see what's going on?" I said, "What are you talking about? What are you doing?" Every time your stepdaughter gets up out of the seat, all the elders are craning their necks to look at her. And I said, "What?" Really? So I started watching, and it was true. Now, I didn't get upset. She was a very beautiful girl. One brother told me, well, when I told him about this, well, she's like a black Marilyn Monroe is what he told me. And I never molested my stepdaughter, by the way. I just want to assure the audience. Yeah. But a couple of weeks after I was alerted to this situation, one of those elders, a racist elder, I didn't find out later, he'd accused brothers all over the circuit of being white racist, okay? He says, "I want you and your whole family to sit in the very front row, and you take care of the mic now." And I looked at him, I said, "No." And he's, "What? You don't say no in this organization. The only word you say is yes." I didn't really totally connect it to him wanting to look at my daughter, but you know, it was just a bad situation. It probably led to me being deleted. But first of all, I worked third shift. Half the time I was at the Sunday meeting, I was drinking coffee, and so I had to get up and go pee. And my wife, she had fibroid tumors, which made her uterus less effective. So she would have to get up and go pee. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't tell him this, I'm not going to let you make a spectacle of my family, okay? And so, it got much worse from there. I was being accused
it's very unhealthy. It's the repression. They're dysfunctional anyway, a lot of people, I think, but
they want what
it's
they
very unhealthy.
Want it. They don't care who they hurt. That's
as long as they can get away with it.
Sticking to it. Thank you so much.
It was nice speaking to you.
Who are you speaking to?
Nice talking to you.
The devil.
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on.
No, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I was going to say that, with regards to Watchtower, I mean, we've heard this on the show before. There's new audience. We'll just say it again.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe Dario was an elder. He was in the organization almost 50 years. He was an elder 12, 13 years. He just tells it like it is. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, there are brothers. I'm talking about elders. He was in judicial committee meetings. And he said, I want to tell you, there were elders that were watching pornography. That's no surprise. And so my point is that last picture that we had shown you, that was Rutherford's book on creation, page 246. That's pornography in the back there. That's exactly what that is. And yet Watchtower has this image of being so squeaky clean. So my point is, they talk about uncleanliness in the Shepherd of the Flock book, right? What's totally unclean. Well, you have so many people in the congregation that are involved in pornography. That's our doorbell. In pornography, that it's even brought up in Shepherd of the Flock book, that it's not a disfellowshipping offense. At one time it was.
Yep.
At one time it was, but not anymore. It's so rampant that it's almost like a little slap on the wrist now.
I mean, you can be disfellowshipped for taking a puff of a cigarette,
right?
But if you're going to stay there and watch porn for hours upon hours, especially if you're an elder, you think if an elder was doing it, it'd be deleted.
Right.
They don't delete them.
Right. So, there's a lot of perversion in this organization. And, when you connect the dots of what's going on with Shepherding the Flock book and so much pornography, pornography is huge. I'm saying not just among Jehovah's Witnesses, but in other churches too. It is a huge, huge problem. And today, back in the day, you'd get, the girly magazines, right? Today, it's right on your phone. You can watch it right on your phone. It's so prevalent. So it's very prevalent among Jehovah's Witnesses as well. And that's why you have a lot of perverted people in the organization. No surprise there's a lot of pedophiles in the organization. And no surprise there's so many lawsuits because of all of it. So anybody else would like to comment?
Yeah, we got 1 minute left. Would love to have a new caller.
Yeah, that'd be
call
nice.
in if you could. Is there anyone out there that'd like to call in for the first time?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Well, I'm not the first time I called in before, but I talked to a few friends of mine, and I asked them, they know what's going on. They know what's going on in Pennsylvania, and they said, "No." I said, "This is not apostate or nothing. Just go on Series or Gemini and put in Jehovah's Witnesses 2026 case for child molestation and put 77 in." They called me back. They said, "We did not know that was happening." And when they said that, when they I said, "Just keep going through. It'll tell you all about the court cases. It'll tell you everything that's going on." And their mouths dropped. They said, "It's unbelievable." The thing about it is no one in the Kingdom Hall knows that this is going on at all.
That's
and
right.
Another court case is coming up pretty soon in Norway. They don't know. And all you got to do, if people would go on there, they don't have to listen to no YouTube or nothing. All they have to do is go on Series or on their phone, and they'll tell, because that's all there. It's all there for the public knowledge to know. And if they lose these cases, that's the end of them.
Absolutely. People in the world know this about Jehovah's Witnesses. So when they come to the door, they're doing court witnessing. People in the world know this. This is the reputation the organization has today, and people don't want any part of the organization. And it's really sad that the witnesses, the elders, some of the elders know this is going on, but the average rank and file, they don't. And John Ledger did a show. We were watching it last night. He's XJW Analyzer. He's on YouTube. He's really, really excellent. And Watchtower's cracking down. In fact, it's a Watchtower article. Yeah. So they're cracking down on social media. See, Watchtower wants to put a lid on all of this. So they have to have a study article on this so that the brothers and sisters don't even look at any social media, because Watchtower wants to have complete control over everybody's minds, and they do not want the rank and file members in the congregations to know how filthy they are.
Control the flow of information, you control the people.
That's it. Control their minds.
People are just waiting for this, waiting for this to get over. And they said, most of the people I know, friends of mine know, they said that if they hear something negative, if it goes through, they're leaving. Even the elder called me up that I'm friends with, and he told me, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And they just covering up, and they're liars. So why don't they just come up and tell everybody the truth? If this is the truth.
They never will.
That's why I said you take it.
Well, you know, brother, you don't have to mention your name, but I think you might have been the brother that was on last time, weren't you? When we had a show. Yeah. Now I'm just curious. You don't have to mention your name, but we really appreciate your comments. Are you a PIMO, or are you fading, or can you give a little information about how you know this information and you're giving insight to these elders and opening up their eyes? I'm just curious. That's all.
I'm a PIMO, and I have relatives all over from here to California. And I'll make one more comment. One of my relatives called me up. He's an elder, and he said that this pedophile was in his congregation. This was about 6 months ago, and he said he read his package. He said it was awful, and he called up the brothers, and they told him, the lawyers up there told him, just tell the people, stay away from him. He said next week the guy was gone.
Yeah, the pedophile.
Wow.
The pedophile's gone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He just goes to another congregation. Yeah.
You know, if somebody,
right, exactly.
If somebody's listening to 6 Screens of the Watchtower and they do it consistently, you're certainly going to get the picture that it's a very perverted organization. If you would take the information that you're getting from 6 Screens or any of the stuff on YouTube, and you tell another brother, doesn't have to be an elder or minister or servant, you tell him, and he goes and tells an elder,
right?
What's probably going to happen to you is that you're causing divisions, and they'll disfellowship you to shut you up. So you just be mindful of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. What I tell them, to go on on the series or whatever. If they say something to me, I say, hey, I have a right to say what I have to say. That's a freedom of speech that my grandfather, my father's fought in the war for, and you can't take that away from me.
Right on. You got that right. Very, very true. Well, we're so glad that you're awake. I hope your family is able to leave the organization as well. I know it's not always easy for everyone, but we're really appreciative.
They feel the same way I do.
Yeah. I would think after a while, when you learn, like they say, the truth about the truth, you can only be a PIMO. This is my impression. You can only be a PIMO for so long, physically and mentally out. Now, I do understand for some, they're trying to stay in because they don't want to lose their family, or they're working with JWs. They don't want to lose their job, whatever the case is. But the point I'd like to make is, you can only live that double life, even mentally, that double life for only so long before it really takes a toll on a person.
Messes up your brain.
Oh yeah, big time.
You don't know who you are or what you stand for, or what you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're really happy, honey, that you're listening to the show, and, we love you, and we're just trying to help you and help other people as well. We appreciate your comments tonight.
What I always say to the audience is, if you believe what we're telling you, and we got no reason to lie. Rick doesn't pay us to be on this program or anything like that. Rick doesn't make any money doing this stuff. I wish he would, but he doesn't. Tell somebody.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it face to face, postcard or an anonymous letter. Give them the telephone number of 6 Screens and the times and dates, and give that information. Even send it to your elders or ministerial servants. You can do it, anonymously. Yeah. Well, why not? Why not tell somebody?
There's a lot of people that are really waking up. I mean, there are a lot. Even Rick says, he says, what, we have 1,500 viewers. I mean, we didn't know that. We don't keep watching that. We just try to have really good quality podcasts for people to be informed and to call in and, communicate and ask questions and so forth. But a lot of people are waking up. Rick has said on his control panel there, the numbers, he can see phone numbers. And Jerry, he sees the same phone numbers, but now it's like inundated. Like you said, it's like the airport, with the tower, the control tower with all the flights coming in. And, I worked at an airport, so it's interesting because I was up at the control tower. You could see every single flight coming in and it would say UAL 273, AA, American Airlines, United Airlines. And you see all the flights coming in and the control tower is watching all that. Well, that's what Rick is doing in terms of all the phone calls that are coming in on his control panel. He can see there are a lot of new phone numbers. So we really appreciate everybody listening in tonight.
Yeah, we're about 10 minutes over time as we usually are. But I want to say good night to everyone and thank you listening to the Connie and Dick show. And God bless. And
we love you very much.
We're going to be working on another good program in 2 weeks. Yeah. So we hope to see you then.
Yes.
Be around 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Dick. Good night, Constance.
Thank you, honey.
That's Dick and Constance. Now just stay with us. Our program's going to come up in about 5 minutes. We're going to go to JW World News. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot of things to talk about. And, I'll tell you something. I mean, this year was a really big year. I should say 2025. We're to 26 now. But 2025 was a big year in the Watchtower. I mean, really, they suffered a lot. And we're going to be bringing you right up to speed tonight on what actually took place in 2025 right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. So stay with us. I'm just going over to the next studio. And I certainly invite all you folks to come in and be with us on JW World News as well. I have to tell you that, as Connie was just saying, we do have a lot of people coming in tonight. This is very unusual. We don't usually get this many people coming in, more people in the winter than the summer. But we do have an unusual amount coming in tonight. So for some reason you're having a difficult time calling in, dial out and then come back in again. Sometimes the phone lines do get jammed. So by all means, keep that in mind as we go forward tonight. I think when it gets cold, people kind of hunker down a little bit. They don't go out as much and they want to listen in to what's going on. And now that this is up on YouTube and Facebook, and we're going on a number of other platforms shortly as well, we're going to see a lot more people coming in. And YouTube has really opened up a whole new platform for people to be able to express their feelings, become activists. You guys have watched some of the shots on YouTube with the witnesses. And even as Connie and Dick were mentioned earlier, John, I can't think of his name right offhand. It'll come to me. But John, who does the videos, you see, has a number of followers. John Ledger, I'm sorry. He does a great job. He's been on the program here before as well. So we wish John the best. And keep going, John. You're doing a great job on YouTube. Let me just put the date in here. Then we can go to JW World News. That will be the Saturday night edition right here on 6 Screens Telenetwork. All right, let me just get that where we want it to be. And we can go to JW World News coming up next right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our studio. And let me just get this up. A lot of buttons we have to push here, but we want to get it right. You push the wrong button, you get in big time trouble. So we'll push the right buttons here tonight. So just stay with us and we'll be coming right up on JW World News. Let me go back and let me get this straightened out. Let me go back and end Dick and Constance program. So we're going to end that right now. Thank you all for coming into Dick and Constance program tonight. We got a lot of people listening in, and thank you for commenting as well. Those that did, we appreciate.